Alright guys, that beautiful retirement card for TKZ just finished up. We actually got to sit down and watch it while we were traveling around America, which is awesome. I just wanted to give some of my thoughts on that main event and a couple of the fights in the main event as well, because that was an awesome card. And be honest with you guys, I have to go back and watch some of the prelims. I didn't quite wake up for some of the prelims. I managed to make the second half of the prelims and the main card, and God am I happy that I did, because that whole card really stood up and showed out. Now, the first fight that I wanted to talk about was Giga Chikadze versus Alex Caceres. Now, going into this fight, I thought that Caceres was going to win. If I was a betting man, I would have put my money on Caceres. I thought that his ground game was going to be just too much for Giga Chikadze. Now, that first round of the fight, I gave it to Caceres. I thought he did better work on the feet, but the second round, it was close. It was really close, but I had to give it to Giga. And this is where I thought that we were actually going to see something change in the fight. Like, we had now had 10 minutes of kickboxing, and to my eyes, and I would assume to Caceres' team's eyes, because it did seem to be looking this way. I was flicking through Twitter as well, and everyone sort of seemed to be scoring it the same way. I would have thought that Caceres would have started going for some takedowns and started pushing the pace like a lot more, knowing that we've passed 10 minutes now and I'm starting to lose this fight. Maybe it's time to start going to the ground game. I don't know why Caceres didn't go for a single takedown. I think maybe he was just feeling himself, but the fact that he didn't is so annoying to me. Like, you can feel that it's close. You can tell that it's close. You know that Giga is useless on the ground. He's as useless as the riders at Disney, and instead you're just choosing to keep it standing. Like, I don't know why you'll do that. And then he's one of these fighters, Caceres, that will go ahead and say that fighters should get paid more. But he doesn't put in an effort to finish when he's in the cage. Like, he's one of these fighters that, like, you just want a higher base salary and you're going in there to have fun and be like water and we're just having a fun kickboxing event. But, like, this is your salary. This is your livelihood. You're not going for a finish. And not only are you not going for a finish, you're not going for like a performance bonus. Like, you're like doing spinning wheel kicks to air, you're sliding, you're like jabbing out of range, you're just having a fun kickboxing match. It looks like a sparring match in the third round when it's 1-for-1 and you should be going for the kill. Like, we've talked about it a lot on this page, guys. I like to see the fight and the fighter. And there was a fighter on this card, on this main event, that embodied that all the way to the end. We're going to talk about that later. But Caceres just didn't. And the more I watched it and the more that fight went on, I was just getting angrier and angrier. Like, dude, come on, go for it, please. So Giga Chikadze ends up getting the win, and then we go to the post-fight interview, and man, like, that right there is a highlight post-fight interview. That's the sort of one that is going to get you replays on ESPN. That's going to help your name get talked about more. That was such a funny post-fight interview, the way that he 360'd all of us. Well done. You know, just for that, I hope that he does get on this December card. And let's just take this. It's been so long since we've had a chance to catch up, guys. Let's just talk about how every single fighter for the last, 3 cards, has talked about, I want to be on that December card. It's another one of the reasons that just goes to prove, like, the whole fighter pay thing. You cannot make it easy for these fighters. They all want to get on the December card. Why? Because it's the last card before the holidays. When it's early on in the year and they have their chance to fight 3 times during the year, they fight early in the year and all of a sudden they need to take like 6 months plus off. But they fight towards the end of the year when they could squeeze in another fight before the holidays, and they all want to be on that fight card. They all want to be on the fight card before the holidays. Do not make it easy for these fighters, because at the end of the day, everyone is looking for the lazy option out and they're all pushing to be on the December card. I bet you no one wants to be on the January card. No fighter wants to be on the January card where they have to diet over Christmas and New Year's. But every single fighter in the world, no matter how injured they are, they're going to be ready. They're going to be ready for December. It's just another one of these little, like, annoying things that you can notice if you actually watch the game closely. All right, Ryan Superman Spann versus Anthony No Lionheart Smith. I obviously thought by that little condescending intro, guys, that I thought Superman Spann was going to absolutely run over Anthony Smith. To me, Anthony has been on this trajectory lately where if fights do not start going his way early. He just starts to fade and slowly give up during the fight. And it's might be a subconscious thing, because we saw in his last fight against Johnny Walker, he was actually trying to amp himself up because he could feel his body just not being there in the fight. And then there was that famous call out to an intruder that wasn't there. So going into this fight, I thought we were just going to see more of that. And you know, in the first round, it sort of looked like there was a potential for that to happen. I thought the first round went to Anthony Smith. He looked like 2016 Anthony Smith. He looked really, really good. Ryan Spann just didn't throw a single leg kick. I think he threw a single leg kick, but Anthony Smith's lead leg is there. It's known for being paced up. Ryan Spann either didn't watch any tape, his coaches are useless, or he doesn't have a fight IQ. He just let that one go. That's fine. Round one was over. All good. Round two, I'm like, maybe Spann will fire up, and bang, he does. And this is when I thought it was going to happen. What we have seen happen in the past was going to happen again. Anthony Smith starts curling up, protecting that eye, and to be fair, it's a shattered eye socket. Like, I'm sure that hurts. And I was like, all right, here we go. Here comes the famous decline. But no, whether it was through a mixture of Anthony figuring out what is going on in his head and Ryan Spann not having the killer instinct, it slowly, over the course of the second round, the grappling on the ground, the stand-up and the slow pace from Ryan, Anthony got himself back into it, and then we get into this now infamous third round. People are going to say it's a robbery. I don't think it was a robbery. I didn't see any killer instinct in Superman Spann. He was missing a lot of the shots that he was winging. Anthony was landing the shots that he was landing, and he chewed up Spann's calf. Like, Spann's calf swelled up to the size of his quads. That dude's got big quads. So I was very comfortable giving that third round to Smith. I saw it going for Smith as they were calling it, and I wasn't surprised at all. That's why I put that poll up straight away. Like, I don't think that was a robbery at all. I had that going Smith first, Smith third, 10-8 in the second. No, not a 10-8, 10-9. If he had gone for the kill a little bit more, but Smith had good moments around the eye pouch. He had good moments before it. He was grappling well on the ground. He had good moments afterwards. If there was a killer instinct from Spann, maybe, but no, not good enough for a 10-8 in my opinion. Totally fair decision. I don't know, like, look, people on the internet are going to say what they're going to say. People think it's a robbery if their fighter doesn't win. I would have put money on Spann. Smith won. It is what it is. It was a close fight, but not a robbery. And then we get into the main event. I mean, just a fight fan's wet dream, this main event. From the walkouts to the end of the card. Here we are again. Everyone online is talking about it. Zombie doesn't deserve to be in the ring with Holloway. And not that he doesn't deserve to be there because he isn't such a great character in our sport and he isn't so well loved, but just the skill levels aren't there. It's 1 versus 8, you know, and even though Zombie put in such a good effort, the skill levels were not there. Like, Zombie put in a good fight, but at no moment was it Max in danger. That's not to say Max didn't get rocked with some good shots, but Max recovered well and adjusted well as it was happening. It was number 1 versus number 8 throughout that entire fight. But let's rewind a little bit. The walkout of Zombie coming into the arena and all the fans cheering, amazing. The walkout of Holloway, amazing. The respect that they show to each other. And then as we get into that first round and we're like, all right, here we go. Holloway, you know, please don't mess Zombie up too badly. Zombie makes a very, very good accounting of himself. It's a fun round. It's a close round. It's a competitive round. It's a max round. I saw some people scoring it to Zombie. No, let's not get caught up in the hype of him being in Singapore and just loving the character of the Zombie so much. It was a max round. And again, Zombie really put on a good show for himself. Like, he showed that maybe he isn't number 8. Maybe he's number 5. But he lost that round. On to the second round. The second round is just beautiful, edge of your seat MMA. They both have great moments cracking each other. Max is starting to get a little bit ahead, and then Max absolutely cracks him, drops him to the ground, and Max is trying to show him as much respect as possible. You can tell Max has a lot of love for the Zombie, and Max is one of those guys that he loves having a scrap. He loves having a fight. So the fact that Zombie's cracked him a few times, I believe that just makes Max Holloway respect the Zombie even more. So Max drops Zombie and puts his arms up and goes for the walk-off, and Mark Goddard doesn't call the fight off. So Max Holloway, rather than landing like ferocious ground and pound, puts on the most gentleman-like guillotine you have ever seen and starts calling out to Goddard and speaking to him like, make sure he's not asleep. Make sure he's not asleep. I think he's asleep. Like during this minute and a half where this choke should be happening and Max is expecting to feel the tap at any minute, rather than elbowing, rather than ground and pounding, rather than trying to literally kill him by choking him out. He's just trying to put on enough pressure to put him to sleep. And maybe that was the enough of wiggle room that a veteran like Zombie needed to get out of that just beautiful D'Arce choke. He got out of it and the fight continues on. We enter the third round and God, like Zombie knows the way that this is going. And Zombie chooses, right? He is either going to go out and put on one hell of a show for the fans and give it everything. He's going to finish Max Holloway now, or this is it. And the Korean Zombie has the fight in the fighter all the way to the end. And he rushes at Max and lands really, really well. Like, again, great showing from the Zombie. Unfortunately, Max catches him on the counter and just, and it's over. Just like that, it is over. Max jumps into the crowd, hugs his family. You know, there's a lot to be said about Max with the pressure that's on his back, where he stands in the division, what's happening in his home right now, the fires that are going on there. He's the main event. He's trying to treat another nation's hero with respect. So there's a lot of pressure on Max. He just jumps in, hugs his family, does his business, comes back in, picks up the Zombie, gives Zombie his moment, and then we all share in just one of the best retirements you are ever going to see as an MMA fan. Just awesome. Like, Zombie falls to the ground in tears, the whole crowd starts singing, just amazing. Now, there's something that I just really want to remind all of us MMA fans here as we watch this. The next time someone bags a Brazilian crowd, before we get all down in our shackles and we start crying racism, just remember how the Brazilian crowd treated Glover Teixeira when he retired and lost. They were out of the arena before he even got to say his speech. Glover retired to an empty crowd and boos after that war that he gave us. And the Korean Zombie retired to cheers and a hero's welcome even though he just lost. So a huge well done to the Korean Zombie and to all the Asian fans that held him up like throughout his entire career. That was so awesome and special to watch. And when crowds get bagged for how they behave, this is how they should behave. Like, this is the contrast that we should all get behind. So just amazing work. Zombie lost, but amazing night for the Zombie. He's already got something like 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Every single one of his videos gets like 500,000 clicks. The dude has a career in his home nation doing whatever he wants, and all the best to him for that. Leads us, of course, to the question of what is next for Max Holloway. Guys, I think Max Holloway should fight Aljamain Sterling next. That is right. Aljo is not going to get his shot at Sean O'Malley. That is the worst matchup for O'Malley. The UFC wants to keep O'Malley moving and keep him champion for as long as possible. The UFC is not going to give Max Holloway another shot at Volkanovski. I don't think Volkanovski will take that fight, and no one wants to see number 4. Well, Max fans want to see number 4, but it's just a really hard sell. Aljamain Sterling has said that he's struggling with the weight cut, and win or lose, he wanted to move up anyway. He is a great wrestler if he decides not to keep it on the feet anymore and just go back to his wrestling base. It's a good matchup for him. It's a good test to see if he can hang in the higher weight class. And Max Holloway sort of just needs to be kept busy as Volkanovski ages out. Like, there could be another Max Holloway title run, but it's after Volkanovski ages out, which is only about another year away. And Volkanovski is just going to start slowing down that little bit and he'll age out naturally. So I think for the time being, this is the fight to make at some point in January. We're already starting to stack up the rest of the year. Everyone's already calling for December. Let's let these boys heal up enjoy their Christmas. They've earned that. Enjoy their New Year's. And then I think it should be Aljamain Sterling versus Max Holloway to welcome us back into the new year of UFC and just see where those two are and how Aljo goes in the higher weight class. Because he's absolutely right. Volkanovski at the moment will destroy him. But that doesn't mean that we can't just play around and make a name for ourselves in a new division. Guys, thanks so much for watching this one. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. What do you think is next for Max Holloway? What do you think the outcome of Spann versus Smith was? Let me know your argument if you think Ryan Spann somehow won that in the third round. I'm always open to hear other people's opinions. That's how we grow and get better at judging this sport. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Click like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.